Lumbridge is probably one of the most iconic towns in old school RuneScape. In this episode, I will be finishing a scale model of it. For those new to the series and to those returning, welcome. I really appreciate all the support we received on the series so far. In case you don't remember, this model is approximately 56 tiles across and 72 tiles long. I felt like this captured the main part of Lumbridge while keeping the model to a manageable size. The scale of the model is 1 to 192, and as you watch, I will be explaining some of the modeling process, as well as giving some interesting lore about the area that I'm working on. Make sure and stick around till the end of the video, as I will be giving some information on what's next for the channel and how you can have your say. Today, I will be finishing this model with the Lumbridge Castle. I started off by drawing a rough sketch of the pieces that I would need before cutting them out using my hot wire foam cutter. I haven't shown this part of the process for the last few episodes, but I thought since this is the finale, I should probably show the whole process. I went ahead and did some additional cutting with a box cutter. I found that the box cutter usually gives me a bit of a straighter cut than the X-Acto knife since the blade is so much wider. With all of the pieces cut out, I went ahead and marked some of the doors so I can avoid cutting them with the Brick Cutter 1000. As you can see, I've stuck a little piece of foam on the other side of the Brick Cutter 1000 so as to avoid another incident as seen in episode 8. Next, I took a regular ballpoint pen and traced along the cuts I made to define the embossing. I also had an opportunity to use the Brick Cutter 2000 as well on a couple of the castle sections. Once I had all of the sections cut with the brick cutter, I went back with an X-Acto knife and slit each individual brick before going back over them with a pen to emboss it. You could technically skip slitting the foam, but it really helps give a very precise and defined embossing, which is crucial on such a small scale model like this. With all of the bricks embossed, I went ahead and glued all of the castle pieces together using some foam safe super glue. I had considered modeling the interior of the castle as well, but in the end I decided against it because it was going to take a significant amount of time, and I plan on hanging this model on the wall, so having the interior modeled wasn't really going to lend much to the finished product. With the main structure glued together, I added the parapet to the castle with some small strips of XPF foam that I had cut earlier. Once the parapet was dry, I went back and cut and embossed the brick pattern on it, using the same method as before. Depending on what quest you've completed, you'll either find 4 or 5 notable NPCs in this castle: the cook, the crafting tutor, Duke Horatio, and the banking tutor, with the 5th being Sigmund. Sigmund is a member of HAM, or Humans Against Monsters group, and after you complete the Lost Tribe quest, Sigmund is dismissed for treason by the Duke, after trying to create a war between the humans and the Dorgeshan goblins. He ends up being the main antagonist for the Dorgeshan questline, and after you complete another slice of ham, he is no longer with the living. With all of the embossing finished, it was time to give the model a coat of matte Mod Podge to help seal and protect the foam. This really helps lock the embossing in place. While I wait for that to dry, I decided to make some of the castle decorations. I took a thin piece of brass and cut several strips out of it that will later become shields and banners. You can find these small pieces of brass or aluminum at most hobby stores for about $4, and if you're a bit short on funds or just want to recycle, you can also cut the top and bottom off of a soda can or any aluminum can and use that instead. I went ahead and marked out some of the little squares and then marked out the general shape of a shield before cutting them roughly to size with some scissors. I then cleaned them up with a small file. I pinched them with some pliers to give them a bit of a curve before gluing each to the castle. This castle is home to the very first old school RuneScape quest, the Cook's Assistant, where the cook asks you for the ingredients to make a cake for the Duke's birthday party. During the 20th anniversary event, you find out the cook has never successfully baked a cake before, and that is the reason he continues to ask every new player for cake ingredients. The Cook's Assistant is also a prerequisite for Recipe for Disaster quest, which takes place in the Lumbridge Castle dining room. Next, I made some cannons using some extruded polystyrene tubing and sheeting. One of you guys suggested that I use a hole punch to cut the wheels out, and let me tell you, that worked way better than me trying to cut them out by hand like I did in part 8. Once they were all dry, I glued each of them onto the castle. Between the castle and the gatehouse, there is a total of 9 cannons protecting Lumbridge Castle. I used a bamboo skewer to make a couple of barrels, and cut a couple crates out of XPF foam before gluing them into place. Taking some small polystyrene rod, I cut a bunch of tiny logs before gluing them into little bundles on the castle. Let me know in the comments how many of you take the time to light these 4 bundles up whenever you pass by. There is actually 6 bundles of wood up here, but 2 of them are just for decoration. I wanted to add the piles of cannonballs by each of the cannons, so I took some small beads and glued them into piles. And while they do have little holes in them, once they get painted black, you'll hardly even notice. Lastly, I made the banners, again using some polystyrene and the brass I cut earlier. I like to use metal when making banners because it holds its shape when you bend it, allowing me to make a rippling effect that more closely matches what you would see in the game. With everything glued in place, it was time to give the castle a quick coat of black primer. This will provide a good base for when I paint the brickwork. I went and test fit the castle on the hill and noticed that the southwest corner was hanging off a bit, and that I had actually put the stairs 1 tile off so they didn't line up with the kitchen door. Luckily, it's never too late to make some repairs, so I went ahead and smoothed the old stairs out and decided this was a perfect opportunity to blend the hill in as well, as many of you have requested. I took some 2-part epoxy that many refer to as green stuff and mixed it together until it was an even color. Rolling some thin pieces out, I began to fill in the seam between the hill and the base. Many of you recommended that I wet my fingers when working with the green stuff, and that helped immensely to smooth it out. I mixed up some Mod Podge acrylic paint and sand to create a textured paste like I did in part 1, and this helped to further blend the seam. I then took out the static grass applicator once the mud had dried, and some tacky glue, and added some more grass. I usually don't like to use the static grass applicator on finished parts of a model because it makes a bit of a mess, but there really wasn't any way around it, because if I applied the grass in a different way now, it wouldn't match the existing grass as well. You'll probably notice that the new grass looks a bit lighter. That's just the glue showing through though. Eventually it will dry clear, and you won't even be able to tell the difference between the new and the old grass. I wanted to add several more characters to really bring some more life to the model. These are some 1 to 200 scale model train figures that I had, and hopefully I painted them well enough that you'll be able to tell who they are. There are 2 tutors in the Lumbridge Castle. The crafting tutor Cadmus will provide players with different information about crafting at levels 1, 10, and 20, and is standing by a fairly popular spinning wheel due to its proximity to the bank. The second tutor Barb, the banking tutor, this is the only banking tutor in the game and teaches players how the bank and bank pins work. I also went ahead and made the much requested torches for the Goblin House. I really enjoyed Settled's tiled lock series, so I thought it would be cool to put a little McTile on his starter tile to represent all the new characters starting their journey here in Lumbridge. I also added several woodcutting bots around the only yew tree on the model, since it wouldn't be an authentic model without them. With all of the little extra details added to the model, it is time to finish painting the castle. I started by using a painting technique called dry brushing to paint all of the brickwork. This technique involves dusting layers of lighter and lighter grays onto the piece to bring out all of the little brick details. It's usually a good idea to dry brush first since it's sort of a messy painting method. I decided I better get the magnets glued in real quick so I can let them dry while I'm painting the rest of the castle details. I stuck 4 short toothpicks into the castle before pressing it into position to mark where the magnets would go. I then cut and removed a little foam to create a pocket for each of the magnets. I had to be extra careful that I glued the magnets in the right orientation so they wouldn't repel each other on accident. While those dried, I went ahead and painted all of the little details on the castle. Originally known as the Duke of Lumbridge in RuneScape Classic, Duke Horatio plays a role in numerous old school RuneScape quests, including Rune Mysteries, Dragon Slayer 1, Recipe for Disaster, Lost Tribe, and Death to the Dorgeshuun. He is also a very important character for many players because once you reach a certain point in Dragon Slayer 1, the Duke will hand out anti-dragon shields for free. And there you have it, the castle is all painted, and I know I said it before on part 8, but the blue heraldry really gives the castle a nice pop of color. It's been quite the journey building this model. The channel has completely blown up from just a few subscribers to over 17,000 in just a few short months. I can't express how thankful we are for all the support we've received, and thank you guys again for nominating this project for the Golden Gnomes. They're supposed to be coming in the mail, so hopefully I can post a picture of them with the Lumbridge model soon. So what now? I'm hoping you guys will be able to help me decide what town to build next. I have 3 in mind, and I want you to tell me which one you would like to see the most down in the comments. Your choices are Alcarid, Shiloh Village, or Yanil. In an effort to make it as fair as possible, I'll only be counting each comment, not thumbs up, so people won't be able to vote for more than one town. I'll be counting votes up until midnight of April 28th, 2025, and we'll announce the winning town during a special 1-episode build. Anyways, if you've enjoyed watching and learning all about this iconic town, go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.